Hey everybody, just wanted to give you a quick preface on this video coming up. It was recorded 4 weeks ago, and it was like during a moment of inspiration and courage to really, tell the bigger picture of my story during what is now this recovery to a hip fracture injury emergency surgery situation. So a lot of us go through bad times, and I've been through a few myself, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't, maybe you're going through one right now. So this video honestly has helped me to believe that this will all be okay. And the truth is, the last 6 weeks, I've mostly believed things aren't going to be okay. So you probably haven't heard a lot from me because it's been like I'm depressed, and I don't know if anyone wants to see that. So when I find a good time, I can reflect and sort of talk about that. It's something that we all go through, or some of us more than others. And despite all that, it's still possible to come back. And that's, what I want to believe, and I believe at the moment. But for the last 6 weeks, it's been pretty hard. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. It's a long one. Treat it like a podcast. It's like, not a short TikTok or a reel or whatever. So, get some popcorn, and it's everything for the last 15 years. It's a pretty quick synopsis, but it's, why I ride, and it's a huge battle and struggle that I live with every day and that I've mostly overcome, and I continue to fight, and gives me the courage to know that I can probably get through, I will get through this hip surgery. So without further ado, a very special Crit Dad. Hope you enjoy. Thanks. Crit Dad here with a very special episode. I told you I was going to do it during the Corey Williams video, and here it is. A very special Crit Dad. Right on the heels of my accident. So first things first, before I get to, who I am, why I do this, and some of the challenges I've faced in the past. A quick update on an accident about 2 weeks ago after the P123 race. I escaped unscathed, and then I was riding home with my son very slowly, and I just took my off the road for a second, and my tire got caught in one of these hellish grooves in our neighborhood. And there was no time to think. There was no going down, time to brace myself. Literally 1 second I'm riding, the next second my left hip is just smashing into the ground. There was no damage to the bike, no scratch anywhere else in my body, no bruising. It was just all impact straight on my hip. Broke the head right off my femur, ambulance, ER, surgery, the midnight of 4th of July. I mean, it's just a lot to process. So I have a total hip replacement now. I'm actually moving around all right. I've gotten a lot of reassurance from the 60 plus master field. A lot of guys out there with titanium hips still killing it. So I will come back. I've come back from a lot of things, and that's what I'm here to tell you guys all about. Now we're going to get into why I started riding, and I hope you guys get some inspiration from this. The whole accident is going to be a lot to come back from in itself, but I just wanted to talk about living with valley fever, the title. Valley fever, also known as coccidioidomycosis, is infectious disease. It's from a fungal spore that lives in the desert. San Joaquin Valley is a pretty popular area. Bakersfield, Kern County. All my Bakersfield followers probably know about valley fever. Typically, it doesn't really affect that many people in a deadly way, like 1 in 20,000 or something like that. But I'm lucky, as you can tell. I was able to somehow contract it on a road trip to Portland, driving up the 5. So I wasn't digging in the dirt, simply driving. Came back home with really bad pneumonia, fever, a cold that didn't get better. Was hospitalized. This was in 2009 when I was 29 or something. I don't know. Somebody do the math. I was born in 1981. It was 14 years ago. Long story short, they didn't know what I had. I wasn't getting better. I continued to have a fever every single day, even after I was discharged from the hospital. They like quelled the pneumonia. They drained my lung. They, sent me back home on antibiotics. I continued to just take antibiotics around just forever for like 3 months as I wasted away, and nobody had a diagnosis for what I had. My nose was had a big sore on it, so it like the fungus had erupted on my skin. I had nodules in my lungs. It was super hard. I had an IV in me, but they were pumping IV Vanco, which is like the hardcore antibiotic. It was really a lot of like malpractice on a lot of doctors just not doing their, I don't know, man. Maybe this is an undiagnosed thing. It's common, but I was really undiagnosed, and it lasted for 3.5 months until one night I like had kidney pain, peed blood. I was like, I need to go to the ER again. And it was the third time back to the hospital. I finally went to a good hospital, Huntington in Pasadena, and they admitted me and said they're gonna figure it out, and they did. Dr. Pavkovic, infectious disease in Pasadena, went through every single bit of my notes. A lot of the doctors, they weren't doing their due diligence to go through the notes, and he reran tests that came back with false positives, false negatives, something like that. I don't know. He found the test for the cocci and redid it, and my titer was at 1 to 256, which is an indication of how many antibodies were built up against this fungus in my body. And 1 to 256 is like death. He told me that he had patients with lower titers who had died from this, and that's what's really sad about this illness, is that it does kill people if it's not caught, and then some people live their lives in a wheelchair with cocci meningitis. It's pretty horrible. So luckily in 2009 I was finally diagnosed. I got on an antifungal called fluconazole, and I mostly got better. So I, at the time, was drinking a lot. I struggled with depression, and so prior to this event, I mostly just drank my ass off and got hammered all the time because life was like bullshit to me, and I just liked getting drunk, and it's just like, fuck it, whatever. And so like, when you get sick for 4 months, you really appreciate life when you come back. So, I decided to stop drinking when I came back. So, this is summer of 2009. I feel like I've gotten a second chance on life. I'd weighed 175 pounds at the time because I drank so much, and I think I got down to about 125. So, I also was like 90% of the person I was before. It's just the energy level was really low, and like the breathing wasn't quite there. I used to play soccer a lot, snowboard, and I went back to those things, running. They're just off by like 5-10%, and so I felt kind of like a little bit sad about that, but I was just overjoyed that they figured this out and that I didn't die. So I basically looked at my mortality and realized I went through something big, and it could have killed me. So I really appreciated life during that time. So fast forward, and I'm taking the fluconazole day by day. The titers are going down, 1 to 8, 1 to 4. Great progress, but they're just staying there. So I try to go off the medication, but then they relapse. Serod, whatever the word is, in my blood. They do the test again, and they see a relapse, so I have to go back on the medication. I end up going to specialists in Kern County. I think it was like Dr. I don't know, it's the main guy in Kern County. He doubled my dose, and it helped a little. It knocked my titers down to 1 to 2. I move up to the Bay Area. I get a new job. Life is really cool and great. I'm running. I'm doing well. 2016, I'm at work. Not doing well. I'm not feeling really good, and I basically collapse, and I don't know why. I don't have any energy. They can't find anything wrong with me at the hospital. I come back and I just don't have any energy. I try to lift. I work on my car, try to go racing. I just out of breath. Can't lift a tire. I can't lift my newborn daughter. Really scary. I'm like, what's happening? So for about a year, 2016 into 2017, I'm not doing good anymore. I just don't have any energy, and I'm having really hard time breathing. I end up finally finding a specialist at UC Davis, which was about an hour away from where we lived in Novato, Dr. Thompson, and he is a specialist in cocci, and he recommended I change my medication from fluconazole to posaconazole. So we do that, but meanwhile, this takes a long time for your body to adjust to a new medication, especially on this fungus. And so, meanwhile, I get laid off. I don't have a job anymore. I don't have any energy. I don't know what's gonna happen. We live in Novato, and I was working in San Francisco, and all the jobs are in Silicon Valley. I could barely commute to an interview down there, so I wasn't sure what to do. Luckily, my job at Honda in LA, they gave me an offer to come back, and because I felt so sick and I couldn't do much, we went back to LA where my wife's family lives, where we could have help, because I'm seriously thinking, this is the rest of my life. This is it. Like, I don't do much now. I no longer run. I no longer work on my car. I sold my E36 M3 race car. I sold my press. I sold all my wheels. I tried to go racing. It was just so exhausting. I was like, I can't work on a car anymore, which was my dream and my passion were cars. It was really sad, you know. And meanwhile, I'm coming back to LA, and it's just, this is the depression too. And so I kind of just wrote my life off, just feeling sick, eating whatever I wanted because I was sad and depressed, and eating a lot of like sugar, and just, this illness thrives on bad, shitty food, like high carb, sugar, things like this. And I knew that, and I had tried diets in the past, and I just never was able to stick with them. So anyway, we're now in like 2016, 17, 18, 19. We're talking about a 4-year stretch after I became diagnosed 9 years prior, where I essentially I just started, like, this is my life now. I can walk and I can hang out, but Alan doesn't really do physical stuff. He gets tired, you know, he can't really lift heavy things. So like nothing got done around the house, and I just lived this way. And, you know, it was sad, and I kind of gave up. And doctors never told me to not exercise. I was just scared, you know. Every time I did anything energetically, couldn't breathe. I get nervous. Like, I thought it was like gonna kill me if I exercised, which is not the truth. But again, that coupled with the mental, you know, depression of this feeling like I can't do anything, and then I don't want to do anything, and then you start digging a hole. And anyway, I was getting slowly better with the new medication, but it was hard to tell. It wasn't like overnight or anything. My titers were still staying at 1 to 2. I just, you know, something happened. I ended up getting a job at Fox Racing, and if anyone doesn't know already, I'm an industrial designer, 3D artist, and so it just sounded like a cool gig. I'm not motocross, not downhill. I didn't know anything about bikes, but I get a job there, and they have this like mountain bike excursion or whatever, and my legs, I have bad knees. I've broken my leg, so on the same place where I broke my hip. I've broken the tibia and I've had ACL surgery on that same knee. So I'm no stranger to recovery, but the point is running was really bad for my knees. I used to like running. So when I went to Fox, I thought, well, maybe this bike thing could be a way that I could like start just having something to do to get my heart going again, and maybe I'll start feeling better. Get to Fox and they have a mountain bike outing, and it was like, I'll put this Strava up. It was like 1 up and 1 down, and I like stopped 3 times on the climb, like huffing and puffing, survived on a stunt jumper demo, and was like really energized by that experience. I don't know what it was, but it just made me feel alive. Made me feel like I could do more, that there was hope. So, yeah, I'm designing downhill mountain bike products, motocross things, and so I decided I'm going to try the mountain bike thing. And if you know, obviously, grinding up a hill is like, it's just a lot of cardio. So I was doing that slowly, like once a month. It's pretty, downhill mountain biking, especially in Southern California, it's pretty scary, especially when you're riding with like sponsored Fox guys who are like, no, it's not black, it's like a blue or a green, don't worry about it. And it's like, no, this is pretty hard, man. And so I was like falling and like scraping at my elbows, and I was like, I'm like 40 and I don't have the muscle memory of a child doing mountain biking, so this is all brand new to me. You know, I have technical skills and all, but it was just a lot to wrap my head around. That was how things started. What happened then was COVID hit, and actually COVID was this blessing in disguise, because it was time to then now try something different. I knew that whenever I would eat something really sugary or carb heavy, like bready, I would become like, all the symptoms would kind of flare up. Like I'd get low energy. I'd be up, not able to breathe. And the same thing would happen if I had a beer or something. Alcohol, sugar, it all like really affected me. So it was COVID, and I decided, well, now's the time to try the diet. And so this was like the beginning of it, is that I looked at my kids and thought, it's selfish to just succumb to this illness and not try. Like, if I die because of this and I don't try something, like, that's not fair to them. So dieting is like impossible. So like I said, it's 2020 now. It's been 11 years, and I know what foods I'm not supposed to eat or indulge in. And I tried diets, and it would make me sad. You know, I'm like, oh, I'm depriving myself of ice cream and pizza and all this like sweet food, and I don't want to be sad, so I'd rather just eat it and be happy. And it was just, I mean, dieting is just so hard. And then if you work somewhere and you're like guy who can't eat this or that, and then going out, you can't go out because it's all the food at restaurants have all the carbs and sugar and gluten and all that. And so like COVID was it. I was like, if I put my mind to something, I can do it. And I was like, I'm gonna do keto, and it doesn't matter because we can just eat at home. And so I just made like salads with chicken and ate a lot of nut butter. You know, keto is mostly fat. And through my experimentations, I got more energy. Like I went into ketosis. Like for the first 3 weeks, you feel awful, like you're killing yourself. And then you get this like high and this energy, and it was working. Like I was like, I have more energy now because of this diet. It's not all perfect. Like you need carb. Like I was like getting really bad leg cramps, and like I lacked potassium, so I was like taking potassium supplements. It's like kind of a wonky diet. Like I'm not telling you guys to go keto, but it's like there's a benefit to limiting sugar and carbs and eating healthy. So I'm on keto, and I'm still doing the mountain bike thing, and life is slowly getting better. And so I continue with this. I got inspired by my friend George Yu through Instagram, who was posting all his road bike pictures. And in 2021, I bought my first bike. It was a gravel bike because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go full road, but I was always interested in road biking because I love grip, I love racing, I love like F1, I love anything that's like at that level. And so it's just really appealing to me. I liked the kits that were happening, like Rafa. I was always into Rafa. I think map was kind of just starting to become something in 2021, but as a designer I was really drawn to the look of road biking. Lycra, so cool, so not cool. And anyway, I'm 40 years old now. 2021, 40 years old. And I decide, okay, I'm gonna get into road biking. So I buy the gravel bike, the Aspero, and I just ride it on the road. So the first thing I buy are some Aero wheels for it. And I slowly do like a 15-mile ride, and I'm like, oh yeah, I post my first 15-mile ride, and then I do like a 30-mile ride, and like, oh my god, I did a 30-mile ride, and then like it keeps going, and I'm surviving, and I'm feeling better, and like I can't believe I'm doing this. Like I post on Instagram, I did 2 30-mile rides back to back. Like I'm like so surprised, and I didn't die, and this is the beginning of the end. And so I'm still keto, and we go on this Rafa Compass ride, which in no way was I prepared for. I had on like Ray-Bans, and I had 2 bananas in my pockets and a bar bag, and this is a 100-mile ride with 10,000 feet of climbing in August. It's fucking stupid, but you know, you do these things when you're a new guy on a bike. And so this is 6 months after I started riding. Not even, I don't know, 3 months. I did sporadic mountain biking stuff for a year, and then the gravel bike in March, and then like that ride in August. Point of the ride is that I thought I would do it with keto, and packed I packed like a potato. I was like, this will be my carb, and I packed like, it was just not a good fueling situation. And we get to, I think it was like Little Tongue or Big Tongue or one of the roads that goes up to Nike Missile Base or the Camp 9 or whatever it's called. And I bonk like crazy. So like the keto thing, dude, it'll work for about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 if you're lucky. Easily 90 minutes, but around the 2.5 hour mark, body cannot like change fat and protein into glycogen. And so I bonk ridiculously hard. One of the guys stays back, gives me a gel, and you got to know that I don't eat a lot of sugar or carbs, and it was fucking rocket fuel. I was like, boom, and it saved me. And through that ride, I just gelled once every 30 minutes, and I was like, bang, boom. Body was like, yeah. And so I realized after that moment, I finished the ride. It was like, I don't know, 12 hours elapsed. We were like, I don't know, 12 miles per hour. It was long. I'm so thrilled, and I realize I need carbs to continue endurance riding. I don't switch my diet insanely, but I just ease up. I add in brown rice, sweet potato, and I do gels on rides longer than 90 minutes. And then everything worked out. And so like there's this balance of like trying to diet and then like it making me feel better, and then having that mental boost and that physical boost to then try riding more, and then oh, that didn't work, and add this, and anyway, this is why I ride, guys. So it's gotten me to this point today where the story goes, I buy Avenge, and the end of 2021 I start crit racing. I'm bitten by the bug immediately. I love racing in general, so I knew I was gonna love it. Where are we at today? 2022 was my first season racing. Got dropped a bunch, did like 6 races, came back hard. 2023, that was like a really good year for me. put in a lot of volume, did, got some podiums, won a race at the Eldo, which is a video I want to share, and also got even more success on the Valley Fever. So while my fitness is getting better and while I'm feeling better, the titers are still 1 to 2. They just won't go down. And then actually, all of a sudden, one day after, a year of riding, I think it was like August 2022, they're like, it went to 1 to 0. And I'm like, what? They're like, it's negative. And they're like, when people's titers are negative, that's when we can take them off the medication, but you've been such a long-term chronic patient that we're not going to do that until you're negative for a year. And I said, fine. Of course, I'm not going to say fine. I've been dealing with this for so long, I just was like, okay, whatever. I feel fine. It's negative. That's just a little confidence boost. It's like they can't detect it in my blood anymore. Next time I go back 6 months later, it's back to 1 to 2. I'm like, oh, whatever, dude. I feel the same. I don't know why it goes this, why it goes that. They're like, well, the difference between 1 to 2 and negative, it's like so hard to do and has to be in a controlled lab. It goes back to the same lab in UC Davis, and they compare it against my old blood and this and that. Doctor suggested some trial medications, something that's been used for asthma, but they've been using it off-brand to like change your T1 cells to T2 cells or T1 to T2, something like this. It kind of like hacks your immune system. And they're like, we drew your blood and we noticed that you're deficient in T1 or something. I'm deficient in one of them. And they're like, because you're deficient in one of them, you cannot get rid of this virus. And we've proven that if you take this drug, Dupixent, it will shift your T1 to T2 or other way. I don't know which way it is. And they had done it in children mostly who had gotten cocci, and they'd gotten better through this process. And so it was a trial medication. And I said, let's do it. Let's do it for a year and see what happens. And it worked. And so it brought a lot of side effects. Conjunctivitis in my eyes. It was just like one day I just had pink eye for like 2 weeks and like put drops, nothing worked. And they're like, oh, it's a side effect. I'm like, okay. And then the day I won Eldo, my left buttock like erupted and had a nodule in it. I'm like, and then I like did the race anyway. And then in the next 2 days, all of a sudden I have shingles all over my body, and shingles is really nasty. And they're like, oh, it could be a side effect. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, yeah, but your titers are 1 to 0. Like you keep hitting 1 to 0. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go off of it. It's been a year. I have shingles now, and I posted about that. It was like last year, August 2023, and that took me out for a while. But point is, I went off of the Dupixent. They take my titers this year, 2024 March, still 1 to 0. They said, you've been 1 to 0 for over a year. And I said, well, let's try it, let's go off the medications completely and see what happens. And so that's where I'm at today. I've more or less beaten this thing. It might come back, honestly. I have to go back and draw my blood, and it could go back to 1 to 2. We never know. But I still feel proud of everything that I've gone through and accomplished. And I wasn't sure about how to make this video, because when I went off of the medication, it was like I just got sick for like 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm like, maybe this isn't working. And I didn't feel good this year. Like I just haven't been able to put in the time on the bike. And then I'm racing at a P123 level at Eldo with guys that they're just so fit, and they have the volume, and it was just digging me a hole every week. And I was finally, after like the last month, I was just really getting back, hitting big rides and feeling like my threshold was where it's supposed to be, and I crashed. So anyway, it's usually how it goes, right? Crash when you're doing your best. But anyway, point of all of this is that at the moment I'm off the medications and my body is keeping it at bay. It's hard to say how I feel, since I'm dealing with this recovery right now of my trauma that my body is now trying to build back bone and tendon and whatever. I'm trying to heal. Not a doctor. And then so anyway, guys, because of all those experiences, I can pull from that and believe that I can accomplish this and get through the hip replacement injury. So that's why I ride. That's why I made this channel, was to share. Well, like I said, it was because I thought I'd be funny. That was my first idea, was like, I'm gonna make a YouTube channel and be funny. It's more became about like inspiring and teaching. Lately this year, I've gotten a lot of people come up to me and say, like, that really means a lot that people even mention that, like, what I've done has like inspired them to ride, or that they just appreciate what I do and it helps them. And that is what really means everything to me. And that's why I'm sharing my story now, is that I've been super down and out. We're talking 4-year period where I just gave up. And to come back is great. And so, you know, that's what I'm trying to share. And so whether or not I thought that start this channel and be funny, yeah, you know, if that happens, great. If it's entertaining, great. But I really want to inspire you guys and inspire others, you know, going out there and just trying it, you know, and riding your bike and having fun, and what you can do to survive in a race, and some of the tactics you can employ. And yeah, so I have a ton of footage maybe I'll get to while I recover. There's the win, where I took first. I took the preem in that race and I sprinted for the win. There's a sweet picture I'll put up with this flying V. I was really proud of that race. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see coming up. Let me know if this inspired you. Hope it did. And yeah, I'm day 15 after the surgery. I'm walking around without a cane. It's gonna be a while before I'm back on the bike. I'll be starting back at square one. The muscles are all destroyed, so it's pretty rough. But I don't think anything's as rough as the story I just told you. So that is the very special Crit Dad. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know anything in the comments. Honestly, when you guys come up to me in real life and tell me you like what I'm doing, it's huge. I honestly make these videos. Nobody says anything. I don't know where they go. I don't know what's happening. So comment away. I love to interact, and I will see you at the next one. Whatever that means. Maybe I'll do more of these. But yeah, I'll make some of the. We'll go through the archives of the 4.5s and pull up some 2023 races. All right, guys. Peace. It's been 6 weeks since my accident. Fuck you, bird. Jesus Christ. So, fucking bird, you shut the